Good afternoon. Happy Savage Saturday, keepers of the cash. Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here. And today, guys, we got a fun little story that we're going to do. I really enjoy a lot of the shorts that are in Savage Sword of Conan. They're the backup feature story, and they end up in the back of the book. The one I just read recently, I moved to the forefront for this week because I thought it was a good slice of this type of fiction and another view of the world that Conan and other people of this fictional period inhabited. I thought it was nice because it takes place in the kind of world building that Robert E. Howard set up, and it feels like an authentic story. It feels like something that would happen. So it was a lot of fun, a really good story. I had a different book planned for today, but we're going to push that to next week, and we're going to get to this short because I just had a lot of fun reading it, and it was something different than we've seen. So this story is in the Savage Sword of Conan 164. All right, so we're going to show you the cover. Great cover. I always like a good Earl Norm cover, but we're going to go to the back. Our story today is called Uprising, A Tale of the Hyborian Age. All right, and it's written by Matthew Jorgensen and art by S.C. Riggenberg. And had to make sure I said those names correctly. Now, as we've been doing lately, we'll be putting pictures over here for you guys to look at and enjoy. But we're going to get to this and talk about it. This is, again, a good slice of the type of Hyborian age that I pictured when reading Robert E. Howard fiction. It's brutal, it's savage, and the choices are hard, and the life is just, it's unbearable sometimes. All right, and this is all that, and just like 7-8 pages. So our story begins. It says, it is a time of expansion for the Aquilonian Empire. For 60 years, the Wall of Deimos symbolized the promise the Aquilonians made to leave Pictish lands in peace. Now it's the base from which Aquilonians wages war on the Pictish people. So it was built and as a promise of peace, and now it's being used completely against what it was built for by the Aquilonians, who are now in power there. And for Barak, self-proclaimed king of the Picts, it is a time of desperate actions. He has sworn to take the head of Xandros, the Aquilonian general commanding the brutal slaughter. The Picts call him the White Vulture. So the Picts are really famous in Robert E. Howard fiction. They are throughout many stories and many tales, not just Conan, not just Kull, just all sorts of different time periods. The Picts are a people that have had lows, highs, everything just like every other race of people. And the way they're depicted is usually in opposition to somebody else. It's always a warlike state in Aquilonia. And it doesn't mean they're wrong. It doesn't mean they're right. Sometimes war is just war. In this one, they're being persecuted against by these Aquilonians. And they are on the side of right. But even when you're right, it doesn't feel good sometimes, especially with the atrocities that happen. And that's what this story is depicting. And it says, Uprising, A Tale of the Hyborian Age. All right, so I'm sorry, in the art, so the story was by Matthew Jorgensen and S.C. Riggenberg. The art is by Matthew Jorgensen. So just I almost forgot to credit the art, and the art is really nice. All right, so we have this one pic talking to his king. It says, Lord, the vulture has half our tribe impaled out there. Please let me cut some of them down. And the leader is like, no, Horgan, we've tried that before. They're already dead. All we can do now is end their suffering. So the one guy wants to try to free them, but they're going to die slowly. They've been impaled. There's no coming back from a slow, painful death. He goes, after we finish here, position your archers along the wall and await my order to fire. Our escape may well hang on the readiness of our bows. And so Horgan talks to his king. He's like, Brogard, the king talks to another guy. He's like, Brogard, kill as many Aquilonians as you can, but if the alarm is raised, retreat quickly and don't wait for me. And he is like, yes, Lord. So they take off and they scale the wall and they're over. And the first person that Brogar runs into is his wife. And she's asking if he's come to free her. And he's like, yes. And then he slits her throat and he kills her on the stake. And it's just very sad. It's very brutal. But it's the only mercy that he could offer her is a quick, painless death. Because there was no bringing her back. And he just ended her suffering for her. So she didn't sit there on a pike for days, slowly dying. And now the king is down. He makes a command and all the arrows are being loosed. And I'm sorry, not the king. Horgan, the guy who he has with the archers. And they're putting arrows in the other guys that are on the pikes. While Brogar is up in the walls with the king. And then you see, let me show you that page. Even though, you know, I'm putting them up there for you. Again, a very brutal story right from the get-go. But as our story progresses, you got the king and you got Brogar. They're over the wall and they're sneaking into camp, and now they have a small party with them. And it says, silently the Picts disperse throughout the camp while Barak breaks off to seek out the White Vulture. Barak is the king. And the Aquilonians are at their camps, are quiet, they have no idea, nothing's going on, and then the ambush starts. The images of loved ones and tribesmen impaled along the wall of Damos burn in the Pictish warriors' minds, and it begins. And the slaughter happens, and you see one guy crawling away, bleeding. He's like, Picts, just trying to get it out there. And then you hear the call, to arms, Picts in the camp, to arms, they're over the wall. Pikemen, form a perimeter. Don't let these heathens get to the horses. And they don't view them as people. They view them as savages with no emotions and no hearts and no rights to live. And it's these atrocities are their way of thinking against another race of people. So we can see the beginnings of the assault on the camp. And then we see the Aquilonian soldiers rising up to fight with the Picts. And quickly the Picts are surrounded, and you know the White Vulture saying, surround them, I want prisoners, curse you. And he's talking to Barak the king. He goes, move in your dead, Pict. He goes, you little brown devil, only Picts would attack at night. Filthy animal, he calls him. And this guy is he's just one of those people. He's full of hate. He sees somebody that's different than him, and it frightens him, it scares him. He's a very little person inside, and he just wants to abolish anything that's not him. All right, and these are a lot of themes that were in Robert E. Howard's writing. So this is such a good story. And then it's, Barak says, I'm not the one who hangs children and women from sticks like drying meat, Vulture. And this Vulture guy, he is just despicable. He says, I can't allow vermin to breed near my camp. They spread disease. And Barak's reply is, you break treaties and violate our boundaries while hiding behind your cavalry. Coward, why don't you fight me here, now? And he's still trying to avoid fighting Barak. He says, should I wallow in the mud like a common soldier? If you were a man, I would meet you in equal combat. And now this Vulture guy is taking another dig at him, calling him less than a man. Someone who doesn't know how to live, love, provide, and just live a normal, regular life, right? He's berating him and calling him an animal in every way he can. And the more this guy talks in the story, the more you want to see him get his comeuppance. So the writing for a mere 7-8 pages is really good because it really centers you with Barak, the reluctant hero of this story, against this evil atrocity of this White Vulture dude. So Barak says, I am king. Come, Xandros, tear yourself away from your catamites. Show your men how to skin a Pict. All right, and Xandros the Vulture says, I will stamp out your mongrel race, starting with its so-called king. And he commands one of his soldiers to give him a dagger and circle the other prisoners so they can't interfere. And so he gets a sword, And the dagger that he gets, he throws to the king. And he says, a little sword for a little king, taking another dig at him, and only willing to face him in combat when the guy's at a clear disadvantage, holding just a mere dagger against his sword. And then he lunges forward and battle is engaged. So just brutality, a lot of prejudices in the White Vulture dude. He's just a despicable human being. So as we turn our page, you see Barak has been put down on the ground, just trying to hold back the thrust in the downward swings of the assault of the sword, right? He's got but a dagger to defend himself. But the king, the general, Zandros, is overzealous, and his swing is deflected because he thinks he can't lose. And that's when Barak seizes his opportunity and buries his little sword, as Zandros called it, deep into the ribs of Zandros, the White Vulture. And Vulture is down on the ground, and all of a sudden, he's a different man. Mercy, please, he's calling. And Barak says, I'll give you more than you showed my people. And he beheads him on the spot. And, you know, and that's a mercy. This guy, this scoundrel, got instant death, whereas he was putting people on the pike and watching them die slowly for days or weeks. And, you know, and he says, now, Horgan, he's talking to his commander, and they all loose the arrows. And it says, get to the horses, Horgan, open the gate. And he goes, a great victory, master. Soon the other tribes will rally to you, and we can drive the Aquilonians back across the border. But Barak looks to Horgan, and he says, we've only won a skirmish. And he's talking to Brogar now, and we're fighting the whole world. All Aquilonian need do is clink a few gold coins together, and thousands flock to her banner. So letting you know, it's also in very good conversation, even near the end of the story, that their world is run by money and power and wealth, right? And he goes, but let her send her legions against us. We'll meet them with sword and spear, and if it's our fate, go down fighting with our battle cry in our throats. And thus ends our savage tale of this poor band of Picts who had to slay their own to give them a merciful death, and had to fight up, rise up, and ended up winning in the end to triumph over this encampment of soldiers and burn it down. And another thing this depicts, besides the greed and the prejudice in this time period, is also, you know, we know wealth rules wherever wealth is, right? But also heart rules as well. Heart can triumph over wealth, and that's what it's showing in this story with Barak and Brogar and Horgan, and you're seeing these people, all they have left is their heart and their fight and their love for their people, and they're fighting against these soldiers who are just advancing to try to take territory they don't need, and are just violating pacts that were made just out of their own atrocious natures. It's just a great little story. Give this one an A+ all around. It's one of the better short stories I've read in here. Really enjoyed it. Couldn't wait to share it with you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And until next time, keep it casual. Attention all, use channel sponsor Rogue Trader at theroguetraderutah.com and my code Keep It Casual for 10% off your comic cleaning and pressing needs. Remember, when submitting your books to be graded, use a trusted professional.